welcome back to Budget with a July Dreamer. My name is Miranda, and on this channel I share everything personal finance. I cover budgeting, saving and investing. If these topics are of interest to you, then please hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get into today's video. So today's video is one that I've been toying with for a while now, and I thought let me make it and share with you guys so I can also hear your thoughts. So I have written the topic down and also some points that I would like to cover in today's video, but essentially today's video is me asking myself the question, should I pause my investments in light of my current financial situation? So if you are new around this part or are not sure what I'm talking about, essentially a couple of months ago now, I think I made a video that my mortgage was going up by £600, which obviously rocked my finances. Not detrimentally, is it detrimentally? I don't know the word, but that word, but to a point where I really needed to start pinching pennies and really paying closer than usual attention to my finances. And then to make matters even more incredulous, one of my rental properties, that mortgage also went up by so that mortgage was on a 2-year fix, and that 2-year fix ended this year, and I was actually paying £250 in mortgage for that rental property, and that jumped up to a whooping £1,000, which means it went up by about £750. So yes, so because of that increase, it really rocked my world. If I am honest, it rocked my finances, and I found myself in a situation where disposable income was starting to be a thing of the past, and it really shook me, and I had to sit down, and I am still sitting down thinking, contemplating of ways that I could improve my finances. And I spoke about this in a couple of videos that I've shared in recent weeks, with one of them being that maybe I need to get a second job to start covering these increases in expenses, because for my main home and my bills, I went from total bills 1,500, with the largest of that being my mortgage. So my mortgage was just under £900. Then obviously that jumped to my mortgage being a whooping 1,500 by itself. So now I moved from my bills, all my bills being 1,500 to 2,500. So my bills went up in total by £1,000, even, which is absolutely crazy, but such is life. That is the state that our finances are currently in at the moment. Definitely did rock my world, I won't lie, and I have literally been looking at what can I cut back on, what do I need to change, and all of that gorgeous. And the rental property, I must say, rental property number 2 is the reason why I'm even making this video, because I ended up depleting the emergency fund I had set up for rental for all my rental properties. So that was about £5,000. Depleted all of that because of all of the fixes that I needed to do for my property. And then once I finished that, I started eating into my emergency fund, which was 10k at one point, and it's almost depleted. Not almost, it has been depleted. Okay, so now I'm in a situation where I really need to get my emergency fund back up, like really quickly. And my rental properties, I need to figure something out, and me and my mortgage advisor are working on that, and hopefully at the end of this month, well, not really at the end of this month, but beginning of September, I should be locked in a deal that is a lot more palatable than the £750 increase in my rental property mortgage, which is absolutely crazy. But I know I'm not the only one in this space. I know a lot of landlords who are going through the same thing. A lot of them are selling. I have no intention of selling, but I do feel the biggest pinch ever. So this is where all of this has stemmed from. This is where my question that I asked myself, should I pause my investments, came from. Now, if I take a step back for a moment and talk about the investments in question, I am talking about pausing the extra work pension contribution that I make. So I contribute to my employer. I have my employer match in my pension, and then on top of that I do an extra contribution into my pension. So when my employer matches my contribution, that is just over £1,000, and then I add in £413 to bring it to just over 1,500 going into my pension. So with the pension, it's pre-tax money, so even this extra pension contribution I'm making is pre-tax as well. The second contribution that I make to my employer, which is also pre-tax, is into a general investment account, so buying shares within the company. So there's two schemes, one which is pre-tax that I've been contributing about £125 every single month, and one which is post-tax, which I send an additional £200 every single month towards buying shares within the company that I work for. So pre-tax, I'm sending about £538 towards my investments with my employer, and that is both towards my pension and then towards a general investment account. The other contributions that I'm looking at are my Vanguard contributions that I send into my ISA. I send £300 into my ISA, and then into my SIP I send £200 into my SIP every single month. So that's £500 that I'm sending post-tax into my Vanguard contributions. Then I have general investment account with Free Trade, where I send just £25, and I'm saying just because £25 is the amount that I pay for one of my phones, so it's still money, right? So £25, and then I have a LISA that's also post-tax, and I send £50 into that every single month as well. So in total, pre and post-tax, I am sending £1,313 towards these investments, and when I break them down, I'm sending 538 pre-tax and 775 post-tax. So these are the investments that I'm looking at and thinking, should I pause this? For example, if I pause my extra work pension contribution, it increases how much I am making a month, which means my taxes also go up. So I won't exactly be getting this £413 directly into my account. That will actually end up being taxed, and I'm a high rate taxpayer already, so I'm not going to be seeing much of this anyway. The reason I am making these extra contributions pre-tax is to lower how much I'm paying in taxes. So I'm contributing to my pension instead. So I know that touching that doesn't really add too much to my budget. That's what I'm trying to get across. Same thing with my ICP, where I'm sending 125 pre-tax as well. That reduces my tax burden because it's taken out pre-tax. So with this one, it's the same thing. If I am to touch this, it's going to be taxed again, so it really wouldn't increase too much how much I'm gonna be getting at the end of the month. The work ESPP, so that's another contribution that I do at work. This one is after I'm taxed. So the net pay, they then take out £200 of my choosing, because I chose to have this contribution, £200, and then they invest that for me into my chosen investments with the company. So with this one, I know that my current salary would go up by £200 if I was to pause this or cancel it altogether. I will have to look into this specifically and see with my employer if this is something that I can do, because I feel like this is one of those things that you just make a decision in June, and then you have to wait until next year to make the change, I think. But I'll have to look into this. But if I was to pause or stop this, that would be an additional £200 into my budget. So looking at all of these things, I really don't want to pause my investments into my Vanguard SIP and into my Vanguard ISA. With my ISA especially, I want to continue the contributions, but I'm also thinking that maybe I could reduce how much I am sending towards these investments. So maybe I go down back to £100 with my SIP, and maybe I go down to maybe 150 with my ISA, because I'm contributing 300, so maybe I cut that in half, so that gives me back about 250 from Vanguard, and I contribute 250 into these investments. And then with free trade, I could pause this for the rest of the year. That gives me back 275. And Hargrave Lansdowne, with my LISA, I think my minimum is 50 anyway, so I'm not really feeling like I should touch this. I feel like I should leave this alone. But 275 is not bad. It could be better, but I think it's not bad for me to have that additional income that I can then send towards my investments. But also, because I've got credit card debt at the moment, it really is playing on my mind, because I am of this disposition that I should really get rid of this credit card debt faster. And then I'm also in this situation where I really need to up and refund my emergency fund like ASAP. So I'm having this dilemma. This is why touching my investments is really niggling at me, because I don't want to interrupt the flow of my investments, but I also need to have more money going to my savings as well. So I've already explained. I wrote down 2 questions here, one of them which was, why did this question come about? And I've already talked about the credit card debt that I found myself in thanks to my rental property, and me looking for a quicker solution. I feel like pausing some of these investments is the quickest solution that I can think of to have more money in my budget to send towards paying off this credit card. Oh, excuse my postman. And then the second one was, because of me depleting my emergency fund, I really want to refund this back ASAP. I really need to get back into having an emergency fund, at least, if not 2 months, at least 3 months, really sitting there in the account should the worst happen. And you know, the worst thing is financial things happening and you don't have the money available, because for me, I don't want to borrow money again. I would rather sell some of my ISA investments than borrow money, because I already have enough credit card debt right now. I actually don't want to borrow money, so this is why I'm looking for ways to actually bring in more money or reduce my expenditures. I did also write down here another question, which was, does it make financial sense? And I put down yes and no. So the yes part of this is, if I'm able to bring more money back into my account via pausing my investments, I could possibly pay off my debt faster, and you know, maybe also save for my emergency fund a lot faster than if I just started trying to pinch here and there into my variable expenses, because that is the area where personally I often look to adjust and cut down on. But then I'm human and life, so sometimes I fall off the wayside, and I'm one of those people who I could go a good 2 months not really spending outside of things that I need to spend on, and then one inconvenience one day and I will splash £2,000. That's, I can go from extremes. So this is why I'm just like, I'm not really sure if I will be able to pay debt off faster if I was going to do that. But saving, probably I'll be able to save faster than paying my debt off faster if I was to pause my investments. The no part of that question was, the interest rates on my debt is no better, especially for 2 of them. I mean, if I exclude my loan and my Amex, I'm getting better rate investing in the stock market than on my debt at the moment, especially with the 2 credit cards where I've got 0 interest. So those ones, I can take the time and I want to continue investing so I can earn, you know, more in the stock market than with my debt. I don't know if I'm making sense what I'm saying. It makes sense in my head, but I'm struggling to formulate the words that I wanted to say to this question. Like, does it make financial sense? I think it makes sense for me to continue investing, but in the short term I feel like it makes sense for me to pause. So not completely pause it or stop it, but maybe reduce my contribution so that I'm able to send money towards my investment, my savings, sorry, so that I can restock or refund my emergency fund faster and then get back to investing. So it maybe if I don't completely stop investing in what I'm investing in now and just maybe reduce it, it still makes financial sense that way. But to be honest, there's so much going on in this head of mine that we're still discussing it, we're still analyzing and trying to see what makes financial sense. I feel like I'm at a point where I definitely need to consult with a financial advisor and see which is the best route for me and maybe create a plan that I can stick to, because I feel like when I have been given a plan to follow, I'm good at that, but when it's me who set it myself, I break my own promises too quickly. That's my problem. So maybe it's time. But anyway, this is where I am at. This is where my thought process is at the moment with the state of my finances. If I should maybe possibly pause my investments or reduce my investments and then focus on saving for my emergency fund, and then once I'm done with that, get back to full investing, but any additional income I get into my budget, send that towards paying off my debt faster. At least that's the thought process. But I'm also stuck on the fact that I'll probably need to just get job number 2 to just dedicate that extra income towards paying off debt. Anyway, that is what I'm thinking. I have my kombucha here. This is what is keeping me happy and entertained in the interim. But I've got my kombucha, so I'm gonna be enjoying this and continue to look at my finances. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in my next video. And oh, I need another shot of this. And this one is ginger and lemon, really good stuff. But anyway, I'll see you guys in my next video.